lectures. I hope that you all are fine and doing really well out there. First of all, let me recall something that we discussed in previous lecture. Unfortunately, because of poor connectivity of internet and connectivity issues, I talked about in detail, in more depth, about the seven edges of man and its explanation. But as I told you that there was a connectivity issue, that's why my lecture was not complete enough that you may go through and understand what I discussed. So, in order to make it more clear, in order to make it repeat once again, I have come up with the same topic, but this time I would be explaining in detail seven edges of man defined by William Shakespeare. So as you all are familiar that this is the philosophy of William Shakespeare about life, human beings and this world. What he said in his poem Seven Edges of Man, which is a comedy, famous comedy of Shakespeare, as you like it, scene Act 2, Scene 7. So without further delay, let me define in detail, and I will try my level best in order to explain that what is the theme of this lesson, what we have learned from this lesson, and what is the hidden philosophy of Shakespeare regarding human beings, their lives and this world. Okay, so let's begin our talk. The seven edges of man. Now the question is here how you would define this. Suppose if there is a question in your papers, or if somebody asks you how to define seven edges of man, so they will simply ask you what is the main idea of the poem, or they will, in other words, they will ask you what is the theme of the poem, the seven edges of man. So be attentive right now, listen very carefully, because the handout that I have right now in my hands is sufficient enough. The explanation that has been given in this handout is sufficient enough that you all would be able to define it in more detail and depth. So the poem The Seven Edges of Man basically gives an idea that human life is temporary. We all know that human's life is temporary. Although we are being a Muslim, we all know that Allah Almighty told in his holy book Al-Quran Al-Hakim that all human beings are temporary here. We are not here for long period of time, or we are not here to stay forever. Rather, one day or another day we have to die. We have to leave this world. Okay, make it clear. So the first idea of William Shakespeare is that all humans' life is temporary and everyone comes here for a specified period. Okay, so in this sense, what he has told further, he is of the opinion that the world is like a stage. Okay, as I told you in previous lecture, that according to William Shakespeare, world, he considers this world as a stage. Okay, he considers this world as a stage, and then and human beings are actors, are players, you may call them. World is a stage, human beings are players. Humans are players. We have been given different roles to perform. Okay, as you can see, if there is a cricket team, how many players are there? There are more than 16 squad, or you may call it, but those who play a match, during a match, they simply select 11 players. Okay, so what sort of actions they do, what sort of responsibilities they perform during a match, or for a specific period of time. Suppose if there is a 50 overs game, or even if there is a 20 overs game, simply every individual, every player has to perform his role. If there is a bowler, he has to bowl. If there is a batsman, he has to bat. If there is a wicket keeper, he is going to perform his duties as a wicket keeper. Okay, but at the end, as the match comes to an end, his part would become would comes to an end. So simply, if as they are temporary, same is the case with human's life. So human beings are actors. They play their role in 7 different stages until the period of their life ends. Of course, I am playing my part here. You as an individual are playing your part there. Okay? But it will go till the last breath of our life. As we die, our actions would not, our actions would come to an end. Our life would come to an end, and that would be known as our exit from this world. Okay, as we came in this world, as we got birth in this world, our role was started since then. But as life ends, your role is over. Your role is no more. Okay, so simply in words, if we want to explain the idea of William Shakespeare, he has told that, and according to his philosophy, that this world is a stage, human beings are players, and the life that we have, okay, the life that we have is like a drama. Whenever drama comes to an end, your life comes to an end. Nothing else. Okay, specific period of time. So this is simply a cycle. Life starts, okay, then this world is a stage. Suppose you are player, you are playing your part, and then your death. Okay, so the story ends here. This is simple philosophy of William Shakespeare. Then there is a second important question that explains William Shakespeare's idea that all the worlds are stage. In more detail, if if someone asks you that how to define the idea of William Shakespeare, because he considered this entire world as a stage. So here is the simple idea that he has defined, that all the world's a stage is a phrase that begins, okay, a monologue, begins a monologue from William Shakespeare's As You Like It. Monologue means a speech, as I told you earlier. So, spoken by melancholy Jacks in Act 2, Scene 7, the speech compares the world to stage. It means one who has sung this speech, or have uttered this speech. He has uttered in his speech, a Jack's melancholy speech, he has uttered that the world is a stage, and then and life to a play. Play means a drama. Life is nothing more than a drama. Then, like the stage in the theater, in old times, in old ages, people and actors used to perform their dramas on theater. Even still we have theaters, okay, in modern times. So like the stage in the theater, life too has its entrances and exits in the form of birth and death. Okay, so it's very easy to understand that what Shakespeare means when he says all human beings have their exits and entrances. It means we all have births and deaths as well. Okay, so thus a man plays his role through the 7 ages of man. Since his birth to death, William Shakespeare counts and divided human's life into 7 different ages. What are these stages? The first role is that of an infant, when he is a child, when he is innocent, and he is dependent on others. At that stage, what he do? He cries us. He cries and vomits in the hands of nurse. Why? Because he is quite new in this world. He is innocent child. He is dependent on others. He has simply you may call it, he's not familiar with this world, that's why he cries. Okay, then in the second stage, man plays the role of a little child. You may call it a school going boy. He carries a small school bag with him and has a shiny face, walking as slowly as possible because of his dislike of school. As we have discussed in previous lectures, that he is not willing to go. He is unwilling. Okay, he does not have a will to join a school, that's why he goes slowly and steady. So in the third stage of life, that is a stage of lover. Okay, man plays the role of a lover. He falls in love passionately and sings a sad ballad about love. Okay, he always used to sing sad songs in love, and praising the beauty of his lover's eyebrows. So simply, a lover always uses to praise uh, her beloveds. Okay, her beloved. In the fourth stage of life, man plays the role of a soldier. We have discussed this before. Okay, we have discussed earlier in previous lectures that the fourth stage of a man is a soldier, when he is ready to fight, when he does not care about the harms, even in the canyon's mouth, even he has in front of him there are weapons, he does not care. Why? Because he is bold enough to face the hardships of life. So the fourth stage of human being is a soldier. He is full of strange oaths. Okay, he is full of strange oaths, bearded, and strives for honor. Okay, so he simply tries to seek honor in his society in which he is living, recognition and reputation even in a canyon's mouth. In the fifth stage of life, man plays the role of a justice. Justice, you may call in other words as a judge. Okay, who decides, who has a power of decision making at at that stage. He is a well fed and has a fat belly. Okay, and then he is a full of wise sayings. People who are older than us, suppose if I am in my 30s, my father is full of wise sayings. Why? Because of his vast experience of his life. Okay, so he always tries to share those experiences, those wise sayings with his kids, even with us as well. Okay, so then he is full of wise sayings. He uses his experience, wisdom, and visionary knowledge in the desperation of justice. In the sixth stage of life, okay, the sixth stage of a life, that is old age, man becomes weak and fragile. Again, he simply comes to at a stage where he is again going to become dependent on others. Why? Because of physique, weak physique. Okay, weak and fragile. He wears baggy clothes, and his deep manly voice becomes high pitched and whistles. Whenever he tries to talk, or whenever he speaks, whistle comes along with his voice. Okay, because of his old age, because of weakness. Man's last stage is that of extreme old age. Now Shakespeare believes that the last stage that we all human beings have, okay, and no doubt it will come, if we have that stage, if Allah Almighty has given us that age, no doubt that stage will come on everyone. So man's last stage is that of extreme old age. This stage is compared to second childhood. Shakespeare believes that when man becomes so weak in his physique, when he is in his 80s or 90s, or even you may call him in 70s, he's again, his life turns again to a childness. He becomes as a child. Okay, बहुत सी मरतबा आपने सुना होगा कि बचपने में आ चुका है ये. Okay, and this is a natural law. Okay, the law of nature. So क्योंकि वो हरकतें भी ऐसी ही करेगा, घर में बैठा रहेगा तो आपको यानी बहुत सारी बातों पे पूछेगा आपसे, रिपीटेशन करेगा। तो उसके जो फैमिली मेम्बर्स होंगे वो भी इवन कहेंगे कि यार ये क्या बच्चों वाली हरकतें शुरू कर दी हैं इसने। दैट्स व्हाई विलियम शेक्सपियर हैज सेड दैट द एक्सट्रीम ओल्ड एज ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग इज लाइक अ चाइल्डनेस और चाइल्डहुड. So he loses control over his senses, and this is only the reason that we call that stage as a second childhood. Why? Because at that stage, every individual, every human being almost loses his every sense. Okay, so and becomes dependent on others just like a child. As child is a dependent on others, a man who is at the age of extreme old age, he again becomes dependent on others, on family members. He becomes a victim of forgetfulness. What he becomes? He becomes a victim of forgetfulness. He always forget things because of weak memory. Okay, so and loses his teeth. This is so common, and this is so easy to understand that whenever a man becomes old, he loses his teeth. Okay, eyesight, of course, he will become weak in eyesight. Hearing, sometimes we have seen as well, and there are so many examples in our families that our old people or family members become so weak in their hearing that they always repeat things. If you talk to them, they will simply say to you, what you said, would you please repeat it again? Okay, so that is common, and Shakespeare is right in this sense that he loses his teeth, his eyesight, his hearing, and even he is of the opinion, William Shakespeare is of the opinion that at that stage, when man becomes so weak enough in his physique, when he is at extreme age, he loses every sense. Sense teeth, sense eyes, sense sense everything. Okay, so he loses every sense that he had before, that he had in his childhood, that he had in his youth. So he loses that every sense at extreme old age. So this was the idea of William Shakespeare. He gave the idea that all the world is a stage. So moving further, what is the first stage of human life according to the poem The Seven Ages of Man? Now one by one we will try to define stages. The first stage of human life starts when one comes to this world by his birth as an infant. He is too weak and dependent, therefore he cries and vomits in mother's or nurse's arms. Okay, the second stage of man is a school going boy. The second stage of human life is childhood. In this stage, parents for their child do a management in order to provide education to him. That's why they send him or her to school. But at this stage, he is not willing to go there. In this stage, a child becomes hesitant for going to an educational institution in the beginning. He remains unwilling but goes to school with a shining morning face and his school, and with his school bag. So we have witnessed many times that initially every child seems that he is not willing, but as he goes to school, slowly and gradually he uh, tries to acquire that habit of going to school, and then he moves to school like a shining morning face. So the third stage, what according to William Shakespeare, what is the third stage of human being? The third stage of human life starts when one appears as a lover. Okay, this is a stage that comes in youth when we become more than 17 or 18 years. Okay, full of emotions, full of thoughts, full of feelings, when we have sympathy, when we have inner emotions. Every person passes the period of childhood by learning knowledge from formal and informal institution. He also passes of a childhood by learning, okay, through many physical and psychological changes. Of course, this is a natural phenomena. This is a natural law of nature. that slowly and gradually there are sudden changes in our physique as well as in our psyche. Okay, there are psychological developments as well as physical developments in human beings. Once we were kids, then we grow up, we comes to our youth age, then we become you may call it mature enough at the age of 30 or 40. So the you know process goes on. So one feels attraction when there are certain things that one feels attraction towards the opposite sex. And this is what you may have studied in biology, you may have studied in English, you may have studied in other fields as well, in medical field, that as we are human beings, and there are certain genders. Allah Almighty has given different genders to human beings like male and female. So what happens, one feels attraction towards the opposite sex, therefore falls in love with someone. So simply Shakespeare is talking about opposite gender, it means females. Okay, male always feels attraction towards females and females feels attraction towards males. So this is the vice versa process. As a lover, when the heart's felt desires of a person do not come true, he becomes depressed. In this situation, one becomes inclined to sigh like a furnace. Under the influence of deep grief, he starts composing sad songs. So, moving further towards fourth age, what is the fourth stage of human life according to the poem The Seven Ages of Man? Although we have discussed, but I thought that this is quite compulsory for you guys to make it more clear to you, because if you will understand step by step or stage by stage as Shakespeare has defined, it would be more easy for you to comprehend and to understand the philosophy of William Shakespeare's first poem, that is Seven Ages of Man. So moving further toward fifth stage, okay, fourth stage. According to Shakespeare, the fourth stage of man on the stage of the world is his soldier life. He takes oath to be loyal to his country. Of course, we have seen many times. He takes great care of his honor and is always ready to fight for noble cause. A beard grows on his face like a leopard, as you can see, beard on my face. But I'm not a soldier. But in fact, I am at the stage of soldier. So he takes great care of his honor and he is always ready to fight. A beard grows on his face like a leopard. Leopard means a lion. In addition to, he looks after his good fame all the time. It means he always tries to find, he always seeks a reputation. Okay, because it is in our nature that every individual wants to have a reputation in his society, even in his life. Okay, that people start respecting him, that people may recognize him, that he is a man of social status, that he has that level. Okay, every individual wants, and this is you may call it inner desire of every individual. So moving further towards fifth stage, what is the fifth stage of a human life according to the poem The Seven Ages of Man? According to Shakespeare, a man on the stage of the world enters his fifth stage when he becomes justice, when he is at the age of judge, when he decides, when he tries to judge everything and he gives decisions. Okay, he becomes very fat due to overeating. Okay, as you can give example of many people, his eyes become severe and his mind is full of great examples, so he makes his decisions based on his wisdom and intelligence, as he is experienced, as he has seen many things in his life. So he becomes so wise enough that he always gives uh, wise sayings, shares wise sayings to others. Then moving further to sixth stage, uh, the sixth stage of human life is the period of early aging. Okay, early aging means when he is near to extreme old age, when he becomes old. So in this stage, the health of a person starts falling gradually, Slowly and gradually he moves towards that stage that we simply know, that is of old age. So, falling gradually, and he becomes weak and thin. By this time, he becomes careless for his physical appearance and well dressing. He does not care about his dress. He appears just like a joker because he always places the spectacles on his nose carelessly and keeps small bags with him. Okay, he always takes care of his old things, and he simply tries to save the things that he had before. So, his loud and fearful voice is also changed into feeble voice of a child. Okay, the thing that he has emphasized in this stage, that the loud voice, once a man had a loud voice in his youth. Suppose as we are in our youth, our voice is quite clear. Okay, our voice is quite, you may call it strong enough. But whenever I, become old, my voice will again comes to a, the similar like voice of a child. So thus in this stage a person looks like a clown. Okay, last but not the least, the last stage of human being, that is of, extreme old age, what Shakespeare has defined: an old man is twice a child. This is a famous quotation by William Shakespeare, that an old man is twice a child. The seven stages of human life is the last stage. Okay, the last stage that we all human beings have is a seventh stage, and it is the period of very old age and the end of the eventful history of man's life, when everything comes to an end. Okay, the history, the events that we had in our youth, that we had in our childhood, all these things will come to an end. As we, discussed earlier at the beginning of our lecture, that as Allah Almighty has defined, as Allah Almighty has, you know told us in his holy book, that you all are not here for, you may call it permanent. You are not here for permanently. Okay, rather we are here for the period of temporary time. We are here temporarily. Okay, every individual has to leave this world. Okay, maybe after 50 years, maybe after 60 years, but one day we have to leave this world. As our holy Quran says, kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut, har nafs ko maut ka za'iqa chakna hai. What does it mean? If you, try to comprehend this philosophy of holy Quran, if you try to understand this, a simple ayah of, holy Quran, then what does it mean? That you are not here for permanent period of time, rather you are here for limited period of time. This world is nothing like a drama. Okay, this world is what you may call it, uh, simply a stage. Okay, as Shakespeare has defined, that we are here for limited period of time. Okay, after our role, if our role is over, then our life would come to an end and we will depart from here. Okay, we arrived here when we got birth, so of course we have to die one day. It means that would be our departure from this world. So simply everybody will forget you, and the life after will start. This is, a belief of human beings, sorry, Muslims. So William Shakespeare calls the seventh stage of human life as the second childishness. Okay, in this period he lives with the lack of sensation. He loses all his senses. That's why he lives with, without, or you may call it with the lack of sensation that he had before, and forgetfulness. He's completely loses his memory. He has no teeth, his eyesight becomes weak, and he feels no taste in eating food. As I told you, by this time he is unable to enjoy the life because of his physical weakness. This period is actually a closing chapter of person's life. As I have told you earlier, that this is the end of human's life. Okay, so he should be ready to go into the new world. The paths of glory lead to the grave. Okay, this was defined by Thomas Gray in his poem, okay, uh, elegy written in a country churchyard. So the second life that we all human beings have is grave. Okay, hope you all have understood the idea of William Shakespeare, Seven Ages of Man, and in more depth and detail. What you are supposed to do, you are supposed to go through the composition and exercise that we have after this poem. Inshallah, see you in next time with a new poem. Okay, till that, Allah Hafiz. Thank you so much.